Today we're going to go over vowels, okay? Vowels. Anyone know what vowels are? Anyone have an idea? Go ahead. Any ideas? A-E-I-O-U, the letters in the English alphabet, right? The vowels in the English alphabet. There's also like other ones in English, like that's not like really a letter, right? But in order for us to categorize that, we have to find some sort of way. So that's why today we're going to talk about IPA vowels. Okay, so we have the same quote as well. So let me just put this mic on real quick. I don't know. All right, so vowels, what are they? Firstly, last time we learned that consonants, obviously this is pretty new for Linguistics Club. Not many of you guys are familiar with linguistics. So I'm starting at the basics, which is phonetics. But for phonetics, we learned last time that consonants are defined as speech sounds with some restriction of airflow, right? So, for example, like a door, right? So maybe we can like imagine like a gust of wind blowing at your door. So you close the door and that makes a sound, right? And that's basically what a consonant is. However, a vowel is, on the other hand, is a speech sound with unrestricted airflow. This means when you're making vowel sounds, the airflow isn't really hindered. So you basically get a relatively smooth sound, right? So if you imagine making a vowel, it's like ah, right? Like Mr. Wallace, right? Like that A sound. It's like your mouth, nothing is touching any part of your mouth when you're making that sound, right? So that's why you have a relatively undisturbed sound, and that's what the scientific definition of what exactly a vowel is. And then, so let me just quickly do this. So the thing about vowels is that they have to be voiced by definition, right? Because if you have a relatively open airflow from your mouth, and if you imagine like you're trying to make a sound, right? If the airflow is completely unrestricted, then you can't even make a sound if you don't have any voicing. The only thing that vowels have to rely on is when they're making the sound is the voicing, right? Like you can't make a sound if you just open your mouth. You can only make the sound if you're actually having the vibration from the glottis, right? So, technically, there are something called voiceless vowels, but they're actually purely conceptual. It's something that, like, for example, Japanese speakers, the word for to like is suki. Minna-san ga suki desu yo. So, but suki, like, you hear like the U sound is kind of silenced, right? But to be honest, you're actually just pronouncing this. So there's technically no vowel, but conceptually in the minds of Japanese speaker, there is a vowel because that's how they're taught, right? So if vowels always have voicing and have no place or manner of articulation, how exactly do we categorize them? Does anyone know? Categorization? Does anyone know how to categorize vowels? Oh, welcome, new people. Any ideas? Chris?
I guess maybe where in the mouth that the voice is produced.
Yeah, so maybe getting a little bit more specific, right? Getting where exactly in the mouth is the voicing produced. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at the IPA vowel chart in this case, right? So this is a pretty weird trapezoidal shape, but it kind of represents what's inside your mouth, right? So it's kind of like so this chart essentially just lists out all the vowels that humans can make. These are kind of the extreme ones, right? And then each of the locations represent a specific location at your tongue, right? So that's kind of how the chart is designed to kind of categorize them. So because we can't exactly know a specific region, right? Because there's no place of articulation, we can only approximate where the tongue is when the vowels are formed, right? Because when vowels are formed, your tongue kind of bends the air around it. That's why you have that sound, right? So for example, here's basically the entire chart, but I'll go over what each of these even mean. So this is the classification for IPA vowels. Does anyone remember the classification for consonants in the IPA? Anyone? I know last class, not class, I was thinking it was a class. At last meeting, we talked about the classification for consonants.
Voiceless and
So voicing is one, and then?
The way your mouth moves.
So the way your mouth moves, so the manner of articulation. Last one. Bilabial. What is bilabial? The what? Yeah, the lips, right? So So what is that classification called? The what of articulation? The what of articulation? The place of articulation, right? So in this case, for vowels, we categorize with 4 different features, right? So height of the tongue, the depth of the tongue, the rounding of the lips, and the tenseness in your mouth in general, right? So let's just take a look. So first is height and depth. So basically, as I said before, it's talks about the location of the tongue. So it's like how high the tongue is, right? So for example, if you're pronouncing the sound E, you can feel your tongue is like very close to the top of your mouth, right? E. But if you say ah, the ah, your tongue is like kind of bending downwards into the bottom of your mouth, right? So in that case, it is low, right? So, and then you have middle vowels, like for example, you have E, like this is not E, but this looks like an E in English, right? But it's A, and this is E, right? So it's like your tongue's kind of suspended in the middle between your mouth. So that's high, mid, and low. And then you also have depth, which is like how far in your mouth the tongue is. So you can kind of feel your tongue moving forward and backwards. And I know human mouths are surprisingly very accurate when making phonetic sounds. And then we also have rounding or tenseness. Rounding just means that your lips are either rounded or unrounded, right? For example, if I say the vowel like oo or o, like it kind of has that tendency for your lips to round, right? But if you like try pronouncing u or o without rounding your lips, what would that sound like? U or o without rounding your lips?
How do you say you?
Ooh, right? Right? So it will sound like right? So it's still kind of the same. The tongue's in the same position, but your lips kind of distort it, right? Have you guys ever thought about that? This might be like, maybe it's like intuitive for like speakers of a language, but yeah.
What if you pronounce E with like rounded?
Yeah, so if you pronounce E rounded, you get ü, right?
That's in Chinese.
Yeah, that's in Chinese, and that's also in like German. It's like it's represented by the U with the 2 dots. Yeah. And then tenseness is more specific. It's just about like how tense your mouth is. So this might differentiate a vowel like E with a vowel like I. Like, so for example, like beat and bit, right? So those are 2 different words. That's the tension. I mean, tenseness, not tension. Tension is the force of like on a string, right? So, okay, so here's like a full classification example. I'm gonna make this presentation really quick because we have 10 minutes. And then, so here's it. So for example, this vowel is E. So you guys can pull up the IPAchart.com if you want. So that vowel is E, and it can be categorized as a high front unrounded tense vowel. So that's how you would say it, right? So, right, okay. Okay, also, there's this other thing called a centralized vowel called a schwa, which is basically, it's called the mid-central unrounded lax vowel. Basically, in English, we use this a lot. For example, atomic, it's like the sound, right? So it's like with the tongue is at the exact center of your mouth when you're playing that, when you're making that sound. And it's often used to represent unstressed vowels, right? For example, banana, we don't say banana, right? We say banana in English. So that sound is the schwa sound. So yeah. Yeah, I think enough lectures. I think we're going to do a practice game really quick this time, so it's not rushed. As you can see, I have a whole bunch of candy left over from Halloween. See, Halloween, right? So I'm just going to do like it's just a game. So the game rules is I'm going to call on you, or Chris is going to call on you. And then first you guys have to give the classification, and then if you, in your attempt at pronouncing it, and the person with the best answer will get the candy, and then also an ego boost, as you can see. And then the person at the end of the round, I'll be giving out another $5 Amazon gift card. But here's the thing, right? Last time it was kind of chaotic because everyone kind of tried to answer without any sort of order. So I'm gonna call on people. Or do you want to call on people, or do you want to participate?
I'll call on people.
Sure, Chris will call on people, and then I'll just be able to confirm, right? So, yeah. Everyone ready? Everyone ready? Ready? Okay. What is this one called? So also, you can check these clues, right? So when symbols appear in pairs, the one to the right represents a rounded vowel. So you can tell the right would be rounded, the left would be unrounded, right? So that's your rounding classification. And then, for example, this is high, your tongue is high. And this is, these, for example, your tongue is the depth inside your mouth. So what do you guys think this classification would be? Does anyone have an idea? Gavin?
Wait, what order is it? Is it like
So height, depth, rounding, and tenseness.
rounding and sound?
And then the tenseness. And then, so for example, this one, yeah.
Front
Okay, height first.
with height.
High, low, mid, right?
High,
High,
depth,
front, back, or mid.
front,
High, front,
close.
rounding, unrounded or rounded.
This is rounded, this one's rounded. And then closed.
Tension, tenseness. So is it tense or lax? It's just two-way distinction.
Yeah.
Is it tense, or is there, when you're making this sound, is your mouth tense?
No. Why
Is it? It just means like, okay, tension just denotes like how centralized the vowel is usually. Because like more central vowels are more lax. Like sound is very lax. So is it tense or lax? If it's outside,
relax.
it's more, your mouth is more stretched out, right? So is it?
Yeah, it's tension.
Okay, so what is the full thing then?
Okay. High,
High,
front,
front,
rounded,
rounded,
tense.
tense vowel, right? And then give this a try, pronounce it. Give this a try.
What do I say?
Just try to pronounce the sound.
E, E,
Is it rounded though?
That's a rounding.
what do I round it?
Exactly, perfect, let's go. Okay. I have like 12 of these, so we guys better get them fast. I don't think we'll get to these. Okay, this one's a little harder. Anyone have an idea? Mr. Wallace, would you like to try?
I would, but I don't think I've got any chance of doing it. I was trying to figure out what you were saying there, and I wasn't even following along with that one, so I'll wait for somebody else to do it instead.
Anyone give a try? So height, depth, so it's going to be height, depth, and then we have rounding and tenseness. So what's the height here? Okay, how about this? Anyone who like gives one part of the classification, go ahead, gets a candy. It is high, right? Okay, here you go.
Why is it high?
Because it's relatively high in the mouth, right? So this is height. So up to down, the y-axis, right, is height, and then this is depth, the x-axis, right? So you can imagine this is the front of your mouth, and this is the back of your mouth, right? So, right. So is it front or back? Okay, so here you go. And then is it round or is it okay? Actually, no. This isn't a pair. I'll just give this to you. This is the sound in book. Is it rounded? It's not rounded, right? So it's unrounded, right? And then for tension laxity, is it nearer to the center than if it were like extreme high back? So is it tense or lax? It's lax, right? So here you go. Right, there we go. And then I already gave you the pronunciation, so let's try the next one. So this one,
That looks like an X. Maybe not.
that is. Don't look at what it looks like. Just look at the position in your mouth, right? Okay, I'll give you a hint. This sound is pronounced O, like the O sound, right? O. Go ahead.
It's at the back.
It's at the back. Okay, yeah. So that's one. Very easy. So height and rounding is very simple. I mean, not height and rounding. Height and depth is very simple. Oh. Okay, so you can. So is it? Okay, so what's the height though? Someone got the depth. It's closed mid, right? Or like basically in the middle, right? So you can say it's high mid. So that, here you go. And then okay, then what's the tension and laxity then? Firstly, is it rounded or unrounded actually?
Not rounded.
It's not rounded, right? So unrounded. You guys both of you guys get one here. One. Okay, so here it says where symbols appear in pairs, the one to the right represents rounded. So by intuition, you can say the left one's unrounded, right? So unrounded, rounded, unrounded, rounded, unrounded, rounded, right? Right, and then tension. Is it tense or is it lax? There we go. It is actually no. Wait. It's tense actually, but it's because it's not closer to the center, so it's not as tense, right? Like you always compare the extremes to whether if it's lax or not. So this is how you know. Like if it's relatively closer to the center, then you can probably say it's relatively lax, right? Does that make sense? Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so height. So low mid, right? So or open mid, both work.
Low mid front.
Okay. Okay, you can pass out candies. I can't do this anymore. But okay, so how about the depth? Is it lax? It's very extreme. It's on the border, right, of your mouth, so it's tense, right? So as you can see, it's tense, right? And then is it rounded or unrounded? If you say it's unrounded, right? And I already gave you the pronunciation as well. So, everyone getting a better hang of this classification?
Rounded, like as in unrounded means like stretching your mouth, but rounded is like
Not really stretch. It just means your your lips are not in the shape of a circle. They're in the natural position, right?
So stretch, basically.
Yeah, sure. You can think of it. If you stretch it, it's gonna be even like, yeah. Let's try this one. I think you have like, I don't know if I was keeping track of scores, but like I think you have 1 point. He has 2 points, but
That's theta. Sine theta.
This looks more like a theta than this one, right?
Oh shoot.
Okay, so what is it? So I'll give you a hint. This unrounded vowel is eh. What is this? Eh. If this is eh, what is this? Right? It's right? So it's, yeah. So this is the front, closed mid, or like, okay, closed mid, front. Is it rounded or unrounded?
Yes.
It's rounded. So is it tense or lax? It's tense, right? Because it's on the border, okay? Let's try this one.
Wait, how do you know if it's tense or not?
Tense, okay, tense is just refers to how stretched your mouth is, right? So if you think about it, if the vowels are on the side more, is there a higher chance for them to be tense? Because they're at the borders of your mouth. So it's a higher chance for your tongue to be stretched, right? So yeah, I think it's a fit, like usually like maybe like just take a guess because it's a 50-50 anyways, right? This one's, okay, I'm just gonna go over because we are kind of running out of time. This sound is called ah. And this is not the stereotypical ah sound in like half the languages in the world, but this is the ah sound, which is like the English a, like in cat, right? Like I don't know, Halloween or something, like ah, right? And then this is I, right? So this is e and this is I. So this is the English I sound, English unstressed I sound. And then this is o as in caught, like the southern caught, right? So it's kind of interesting. Well, okay, anyways, thank you guys for attending today. I think, yeah, next time we're gonna do like a language review. So we're gonna learn about some new languages. Yeah, if you guys want to give a presentation, just DM me in advance, and then I'll just have you guys do the presentations. All right. Yeah, we can close it. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe.